Over the past year and a half, the Association of American Colleges and Universities has been engaged in the implementation of a comprehensive strategic plan centered on restoring public trust in the promise of liberal education and inclusive excellence. Launched at our 2018 annual meeting in Washington, D.C., the plan seeks to create an ascendant narrative that contests accusations of irrelevancy and illegitimacy leveled against higher education in general and liberal education in particular. Moreover, it serves as a collective call to action to make visible the transformative power of colleges and universities. And for those of us who believe that higher education is inextricably linked to our nation's historic mission of educating for democracy, the work seems more urgent than ever. This urgency is enhanced by the reality that we're living in an ostensibly post-truth era, characterized by the denial of authoritative knowledge and the disdain of experts, and in which rational inquiry built on evidence has all but been abandoned. Arising from an entire industry designed to sway public opinion, a rhetoric for hire has emerged in which the art of persuasion has been replaced by incivility and misinformation, giving rise to a widespread anti-intellectualism. Just 7 years ago, when my children were graduating from college, a poll conducted by the Pew Research Center showed that 60% of Americans viewed colleges and universities as having a positive effect on the direction of the country. And 84% of college graduates said the expense of going to college was a good investment. 2 years ago, the same poll reported a majority of Republicans and Republican-leaning individuals, 58%, were convinced not only that higher education is no longer having a positive impact on the country, but is having a negative influence, tearing apart the fabric of American society. The most recent poll, taken last July, indicates that the partisan divide has closed, yet not in the way we would hope. 61% of Americans, Democrats and Republicans alike, now believe that higher education is headed in the wrong direction. Concerns range from the high cost of higher education and accompanying debt burden to the belief that colleges and universities are bastions of liberal progressivism, filled with faculty brainwashing students to become the next generation of snowflakes who will melt at the slightest abrasion of their sensibilities. We all have a right to experience being. We are all entitled to live in our strength. We all deserve the opportunity to find our best and most authentic selves. A liberal education can be a guide to such enrichment. But when we imply that the only outcome disenfranchised students care about is money, we run the risk of circumscribing their futures, both personally and in the public domain. In fact, positing employability as the lone metric for determining higher education's value precludes a consideration of the ways in which the illumination of human consciousness through literature, philosophy, music, and the arts allows us to flourish fully as human beings, enriching our experiences as individuals and as members of our communities. The most significant challenge facing higher education today is a growing economic and therefore racial segregation. Yet while the liberal education for all campaign is derided by skeptics as elitist, the real danger of elitism comes from a failure to recognize the disparate impact of such rhetoric on those who are already the most marginalized and underserved members of our society. The idea that we need more welders and fewer philosophers, that we should train more engineers than art historians, more people in business and industry than in anthropology, and that only those at prestigious institutions should be able to take out loans to study religion, gender studies, or the classics, runs the risk of enhancing and perpetuating what Thomas Jefferson referred to as an unnatural aristocracy. The ability to engage in and learn from experiences different from one's own, and to comprehend how one's place in the world both informs and limits one's knowledge, is essential to the crucial capacity to understand the interrelationships between multiple perspectives, including personal, social, cultural, disciplinary, environmental, local, and global. This understanding is pivotal for bridging the cultural divides necessary for working collaboratively to achieve our shared objectives around solving the world's most pressing problems. For this reason, colleges and universities should redouble our focus on world citizenship and the interdependence of all human beings and communities as the foundation for education, acknowledging that anger, hostility, and pity each carry the risk of creating barriers to humanistic identification, facilitating that humanizing identification, finding commonality among individuals with radically different perspectives, and offering a starting point for collective social transformation carries new import. At present, we go so far as to discourage pre-tenured faculty from focusing too much on teaching and service. Activities engaging actual questioning human beings, whether in the classroom or in the community, drop out of professional focus. Until we change both the curricula and the reward systems within the academy, structural impediments will continue to marginalize the critical work of those dedicated to providing the broadest access to higher education through humanistic practice that reaches beyond the gates. Academic institutions, with the help of disciplinary societies, should actively reconsider pathways to recruitment, tenure, and promotion, placing scholarship into reasonable balance with humanistic modes of activity in the classroom and beyond. For if the academy continues to rely exclusively on the mechanics of arcane study to get out our message, failing to utilize the most vibrant vectors for helping citizens cope with humanistic questions, scholarly pursuits as anything more than an ossified depository of ancient curiosity will die. Individuals will still thirst for humanistic guidance in seeking answers to their questions and compass points for their endeavors, but the academy as an institution will become nothing more than self-referential as the frames of humanistic practice disappear forever. Since our nation's inception, institutions of higher education were established with the goal of educating for democracy, preparing knowledgeable citizens and leaders. If colleges and universities are to develop the independent and critical thinkers necessary to ensure that democracy is more than the tyranny of numbers forecast in the Game of Thrones, we must re-establish a commitment to the civic mission of higher education. Academics must collectively reaffirm the role that a liberal education plays in discerning the truth, the ways in which it serves as a catalyst for interrogating the sources of narratives, including history, evidence, and facts, the ways in which a liberal education promotes an understanding that the world is a collection of interdependent yet inequitable systems, the ways in which it expands knowledge of human interactions, privilege, and stratification, and the ways in which higher education fosters equity and justice, both locally and globally. In my inaugural message to the AAC&U community when I was appointed president, I referenced a letter written in May of 1863 by Emily Dickinson to two of her cousins. In a nation enmeshed in the Civil War, she confessed, quote, "I must keep gas burning to light the danger up so I can distinguish it." The poet's words reflect her unflinching pursuit of the truth and the need she felt to move beyond her own narrow viewing point. Dickinson wanted to light the danger up, not turn away from it. She sought to look at what others either could not or did not want to see. In the midst of national dissension and uncertainty, she strove to use every ounce of her being in the process of discovery, perhaps understanding that deliberative democracy, especially in times of crisis, relies on the creation of a critical public culture that foments reasoned debate and independent thought.
One of your prescriptions was that we should cultivate the intellectual agility and creative thinking necessary, that was quote, for students to succeed in a global interdependent economy. And I'm trying to figure out specifically what that curriculum would look like. You gave me an example, a local example, but now I can't believe I'm going to cite my own undergraduate experience again, but I think it's worth noting. It's 1991, I'm graduating from Princeton, and here are the things I did not have to take. I did not have to take economics. I did not have to take American history. I did not have to take European history. I didn't have to study the Greeks or look at political theory. I probably could have slid by studying Japanese pottery and the beats, and it would have been fine, the beat poets, and it would have been okay. Like, that would have been fine. And I'm wondering, are you thinking about a restoration of a traditional core curriculum, something more rigorous? Are you thinking about, something based more on disputation and debate? Are you talking more about these kind of porous arrangements where, you've got people sweeping in from Newark, as you said, and describe. What does this look like?
Yeah, at AAC&U, we advocate for core learning outcomes and specific skills that can be applied across the curriculum. And integrative learning, I was on a panel recently that commission that looked at the integration of arts and humanities with STEM, and with a particular focus on medicine. And the conclusion of that report, which was called Branches from the Same Tree, taken from a quote by Albert Einstein, who said, "All religion, arts, and sciences are branches from the same tree," is that more than ever, we need to stop looking at academic disciplines as silos, but instead as varied approaches to the same enlightened end.
Yeah.